Miss Lucy, I'm afraid I have good news and bad news. Well, I like good news, so how about that first? Good news is you're acquitted of all charges. An updated autopsy report has given me all of the information I need. Oh, that's a relief. Unfortunately, the killer I'm searching for is still out and about. I'll need to bring your performers together to inform them of the updates. Well, they're a loose collection of character archetypes and, as such, are kinda scattered at the moment. It might take a while for you to find all of them. Any way I can help in the meantime? Well, a victim from the Orzhov Guild is curious about the circumstances around her death. Perhaps you could assist me there? I don't know, I'm not really a detective. My creature type's closer to performer, you know? I meant do your silly video thing for her. Teysa's the name, I'm sure you're familiar? Ooh, I was planning on doing one of those for her anyway. Shame what happened to her and all. I wouldn't worry. Death is merely an inconvenience to the Orzhov. Now, let's get to work. Okie dokie. Good evening, darlings and deviants. My name is Lucy, and I'm just a little loony. The commanders in Karlov Manor have got my gears a-turning, and I have plenty of ideas on how to build them. And the number one on my list is Massacre Girl. She seems really cool and super powerful. Unfortunately, I've been drafted in to help a certain local detective in her murder investigations in an elaborate setup for this video and some sort of payoff at the end, so here we are. Today, we're going over Teysa, Opulent Oligarch, and in all honesty, she was next up on the chopping block, so whoa, wait, no, not like that. Teysa has a pretty linear game plan, but there's plenty of weird and obscure cards we can mix up into this brew to make a truly decadent concoction. So, without further ado, let's start the show. So who is this powerful woman? Well, Teysa, Opulent Oligarch is the fourth time we've seen Teysa, and it's probably not going to be the last. She's 1, a white and a black for a 2/3 legendary human advisor with Death Touch and 2 awesome abilities. The first is, at the beginning of your instep, investigate for each opponent who lost life this turn. Meaning, as long as we can keep everyone at the table taking a bit of damage, we can make clues every turn. She also has, whenever a clue you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. Then, sadly, it has WotC's newest buzzkill of a tagline, this ability only triggers once each turn. Gotta keep the slick spirit slinger down somehow, I guess. Obviously, this means we want to find ways to hit our opponents, sacrifice at least 1 clue a turn, and get more and more value until our opponents are forced to kneel before us. And hey, if you like what you see, maybe kneel before the subscribe button. It really helps out. I can't say that, it's so stupid. So, first things first, we gotta deal damage to everyone. But if we deal too much damage, people are just gonna hate us and we won't be able to survive long enough to get value with Teysa's abilities. Some people just hate to see a woman in power thriving SMH. So, we need to basically gaslight people into thinking we're less of a threat than we are with small, insignificant damage or life loss effects. Limdul's Hex is one of the all-stars you might have seen on the latest Game Nights episode where it did quite a bit of work for Josh Lee Kwai. It's 1 and a black for an enchantment that, at the beginning of your upkeep, makes everyone, including yourself, take 1 damage. Don't worry though, you and anyone else can pay 1 black mana or 3 generic mana in order to prevent the effect. So really it's on them if they take the damage, obviously. And honestly, Josh Lee Kwai's deck from that episode of Game Nights is a really good example of how to build this deck, so go and take a look at it. I'll put a link down in the description for it. You can make replacements based on, what cards you have, what power level you want to play for, that sort of thing. Ill-Gotten Inheritance is 3 and a black for an enchantment that deals 1 damage to everyone and gains you a little bit of life at the beginning of each of your upkeeps. A bit more expensive than the Hex, but the damage is consistent, it doesn't hurt you, and the ability to pay 5 and a black and sacrificing the inheritance to deal 4 damage to an opponent and gain 4 life is not that bad. That last effect is basically flavor text, but if you have the mana and an opponent is wiping the board, you might as well get value out of it somehow, right? Finally, I kept a little something hidden after the first invasion Ravnica went through. Maybe being the biggest plane in the multiverse ain't all it's cracked up to be. It's God Pharaoh's statue. While it's a little expensive at 6 mana, it makes every spell our opponents cast cost 2 more, and at the end of the turn, it pings all of them for 1, letting Teysa investigate and oppress our opponents even further. Yes, I checked to make sure this works with judges. If you stack it properly, it works. Just trust me on this one. But don't worry, guys. We're totally not the threat. Now we have a bunch of clues, but how are we going to get our spirits? After all, we need to keep up our gates, or we're just going to keep getting attacked for our slightly annoying ping effects. And by gates, I obviously mean our hand and life total, obviously. While we can always pay 2 mana to sacrifice the clues, we can also find other ways of using them to gain value. So let's get a few ways to sacrifice our clues without having to spend all that mana to do so. If we need to defend our life total, Thane, the Broker, has us covered. He's 2 and a black for a 3/3 legendary human warlock with 4 whole abilities. Essentially, he can tap and sacrifice things or remove counters to gain value, but what we really care about is the 3rd ability. He can tap and sacrifice an artifact to make a 2/1 Inkling with flying. And if we have the spare mana up, we can untap Thane as well. At that point, you might just be better off just sacrificing the clue, but if you're in a pinch and need multiple flying blockers, Thane has the versatility to help you out. Fanatical Offering, Deadly Dispute, Reckoner's Bargain, and Costly Plunder all let us sacrifice an artifact to draw some cards, and in the case of Dispute and Offering, gain us more tokens to sacrifice to the others. How convenient. No, why do magic cards have to be hard to pronounce? I'm just a goofy circus lady. Bartolome del Presidio and Extruder are both creatures that can let us sacrifice our tokens in order to gain some extra value in the form of +1/+1 counters. Extruder, along with having a weird name, like what the heck are you extruding, he's kind of, well, it's kind of super awful. But hey, sometimes you gotta pay 8 mana over 2 turns for these sorts of effects. Finally, we have one of the best instant speed clue token sacrificers in the entire game. Tamio's Journal might be 5 mana, but not only does it generate its own clue tokens during your turn, but it essentially lets you tutor a card once every rotation of the table as long as you have one of your board-wide damage effects going. If the board didn't recognize you as a threat before, they'll definitely see it now. And now we get to the section I've been holding back from talking about to comedic purposes. Now that we've gaslit and gatekept the table, it's time to be a girl boss. Delney, Streetwise Lookout, may be non-binary, but they're an honorary girl boss. For 2 and a white, you get a 2/2 human scout with creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. And if an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Yes, that includes Teysa. Yes, it includes something like Nadir's Nightblade. And yes, this card is cracked. Divine Visitation is 3 and 2 white for an enchantment that makes it so that whenever you make creature tokens, you instead make that many 4/4 white angels. Essentially, this super cool enchantment turns our spirits into angels, making them that much more threatening to our opponents. And of course, we can't have our girl boss around without her best friend / girl foe / complicated relationship status on multiplanar Facebook incarnate, Kaya. A lot of Kaya's cards fit well into a deck like this, but I personally think the best one of all of them is Kaya, Intangible Slayer. She's a whopping 7 mana, costing 3 generic, 2 white, and 2 black, but her abilities more than make up for the massive cost. For one, she has hexproof, so the only way you can get rid of her is by attacking her or board wiping. Her +2 is exactly what we want to do, make our opponents lose life and gain us life. In this case, it's in instances of 3. Then, her 0 ability lets us draw 2 cards while letting our opponent scry. Drawing 2 cards a turn is definitely nothing to sneeze at, but her last ability is the most crushing of all. For -3, you exile a creature or an enchantment, and the opponent makes a 1/1 spirit creature token. Oh wait, I misspoke as if this card wasn't bonkers. No. You make the token. And it's a copy of the original creature or enchantment as long as it wasn't an aura. Combine this with the myriad of token doublers I know you're addicted to. I know the feeling, I am too. Come on, let me snipe that Rustic Study and get 1,000,000 copies, please. And you have a amazing and versatile card. Teysa is an incredible card and provides value in a very unique method for the Orzhov. While there's not too many super unique ways to build her, doing one thing very efficiently is pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to putting her together and gaslighting, gatekeeping, and girl bossing my way around all of my opponents. And hopefully she's fine after, being a ghost and all. Shame about the murder, but honestly it probably just made her more powerful. That's the Orzhov for you. Anyway, if you enjoyed what you saw here, why not watch another video? Check out one of these if you haven't already. I've got to wrap this up. I think Amelia's finally rounded up everyone. As always, thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, au revoir. Finally, the players have all been assembled. Ooh, I love that card. But, you didn't get all the members of the circus. I thought... I got everyone who I suspected for the case. Ah, all the ones who have appeared on screen. Gotcha. What do you... Never mind, staying focused. I've gathered you all here because I believe that the 3 of you are suspects of murder.
What? How?
The body was drained of all blood. The wounds are too small to be an attack from a gruel or simic beast, and considering the trail of evidence has led me here, I suspect one of you did it. Well, I suspected your ring mistress for a time. Eyewitnesses placed her at a nearby shop during the time the murder would have taken place. She's got a solid alibi. What? I haven't been on Ravnica recently. Who could that have been? Ergo, I assume one of you is the true culprit. That is quite the preposterous claim. What in the name of all that is goofy gives you the right to do this? If you're innocent, the Azorius will sort you out. If you resist, I'll bring forth a squad of Boros legionnaires to forcibly bring you in for questioning. Now, Miss Investigator, this is all well and good, but there's no need to— Stay out of this, miss. I don't want to involve an innocent civilian. Oh, mon ami ennuyeux, you're involving me anyway. These are my friends you're accusing after all. Even still, I suggest you stay out of the way. Very well. By the injunction provided under subsection 2, paragraph A of the 5th article of the Ravnican Administrative Laws of Interrogation and Information Acquisition, I invoke the right of protection for those under the big top of the Harlequest Circus at this point in time. You're taking their places? But they'll still need to be called into questioning. This does so little. It spares them the brutality that I've seen in Ravnica's courts. So, shall we head to your home plane? What in the hells are you doing? For the others I could understand, but why for me? The show must go on, and I can't perform without my friends behind me. So I trust you all to carry forth in my place until this all blows over. And I know about your past, Veronica. What you're running away from. We all have something we'd rather forget, and I don't want you to have to risk your new life over another's mistake. So, I might be stuck in Ravnica's judicial gears, but at least you'll all be free for now. Hopefully it gives some time to find out who really done it. Thank you. Truly. Aw, don't mention it. Well, Miss Earhart, you ready to go? I suppose I am. Given the report I was given, everything seems to indicate someone here is the murderer. So why am I getting a sneaking suspicion I'm missing a piece of the puzzle? Further investigation is required.